What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So I have a very important midday stimulus update that I want to bring to you. I think this is extremely important. We're going to talk about the $1,400 stimulus checks and how they're helping more people right now. Also want to address how President Biden is looking into canceling up to $50,000 in student debt, which is actually pretty big, and it's a new report that actually came out today. And I want to address how Republicans are threatening to block the entire $2.25 trillion of the infrastructure bill from even passing. But let me explain all of this right now. First, recent studies are showing that from February to March, okay, just in 1 month, we have seen there's been a 30% increase in the number of payments made towards bills. And this is really good because this is also reiterating to Congress that yes, the American people needed the money to pay their bills. They weren't just going to take the money and put it into the stock market or into Bitcoin. It is going to go to pay for bills, for essential needs. We also know from this exact same study, the amounts paid were roughly 37% higher than the previous month, which means people had more money and could pay more. So this study also shows that roughly 62% of the stimulus payments are being spent on the bills, on necessities, not on luxuries and things like that. So that's really good. And because of this kind of influx in spending towards bills and not just consumer spending, what this is showing is that there was a dire need for these payments, for these $1,400 stimulus checks. And I know a lot of people are still waiting on it. Hopefully we're going to see those start showing up in bank accounts. We know the stimulus checks, the actual paper checks and the prepaid debit cards were sent out last week. Hopefully that's going to be showing up any day now. At least that's what we're currently expecting. So we will see as we get more information there. But what I can't tell you is that right now Democrats are saying that the American people proved they needed the money, so they are willing to push for even more stimulus checks. And yes, this is something we have seen from the progressive side, the progressive caucus, but we haven't seen a lot of Democrats, especially more moderate Democrats, really push or bring up an additional stimulus check. So I think that's really good that after this report came out, some are saying that yes, that might be a possibility, might need to look into that because it does seem like the American people needed those checks badly. And it's weird that that's coming from a Democrat because you'd think that was coming more from a Republican, being that they say, well, it kind of just shows that the American people might have needed that money. Well, of course the American people need the money. A lot of people haven't been working for almost a year. So we'll see. But yes, they are working towards a fourth stimulus check at this time. It's not a guarantee it's going to happen, but there's a high possibility that it does. And while all this is happening, one of the things that you still need to understand is there's still people out there getting their $1,400 stimulus check and losing it because it is going to private debt collectors. This is something that because of the $1.9 trillion stimulus package going through a budget reconciliation, the provision to block debt collectors from taking the stimulus check, that had to be stripped out of the bill because it doesn't impact the federal budget, has no bearing on the federal budget, so it couldn't be included. Well, what we know right now is states are actually taking it upon themselves to protect your checks. States like Washington, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Nebraska, and Massachusetts have all taken the steps to protect your federal economic impact payments. So that is good news. Other states are currently addressing this, and we will see what happens in those states very soon. But as we get more information there, I promise I will let you know. But getting back to what Democrats are actually working on and working towards at this point, here's what we know. Today, President Biden asked the Education Secretary to prepare a memo on the president's legal authority to actually cancel up to $50,000 in student debt. We already know the student debt will not be taxed if it's forgiven. It won't be taxed because that provision was already passed in the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. However, there was no student debt cancellation or forgiveness in that bill. This is where it's actually coming forward. What we know right now is President Biden has to do something, and he has to do something big, and he needs to do it quickly because, okay, and I want to address this because this is extremely important. Right now, what we're seeing is if student debt forgiveness is in a bill, there will be a few centrist Democrats, more moderates, that are not going to support that bill because they say that they want to see the money spent on things that will improve the economy faster, and they say that $50,000 for student loan forgiveness is just too much. So here's the reason why this is so important, and here's the reason why it needs to be done quickly. They want to see this money go to students that can actually use that money to pay off bills and just to survive through this pandemic. The problem here is if you cancel debt for students, okay, for just all students, the issue is some are going to say, well, this is like giving a stimulus check to somebody that currently has a job and makes over $200,000 per year. Well, is exactly what these moderates were saying, or centrist Democrats are saying. We can't accept that. We cannot support a bill that's going to send that much money to those people. So here's what we know. Right now, there's reports that if we see a student loan forgiveness executive order or bill, specifically a bill, it would have to only include, let's say, minorities. It would have to only include low-income families, and this would have to be low-income families that would have any of this debt. And there's probably other people included as well, because moderates want to make sure that there's not money going to people that don't need it. And that's exactly what happened with the $1,400 stimulus checks, and we're going to see more reports on that as well. But as I get those reports, I promise I will bring those to your attention. So, according to one report that came out just a short while ago, President Biden will need to look at all executive order options because both Democrats and Republicans at this point are going to make getting this bill passed as a single or even a dual bill, splitting it into two pieces. It's going to make it almost impossible. Some experts are currently anticipating that this bill will need to be split into at least 3 different bills in order to have a chance at passing. They say this because the problem is that Democrats only have 2 budget reconciliations here in 2021. So they're going to have to split this up into at least 2 parts. But President Biden wants to get some type of bipartisanship in a bill. Well, in order to do that, chances are it's going to have to be split up into 3 bills. One that's going to have bipartisanship with Republicans. The second one is going to have absolutely no bipartisanship with Republicans, and it's going to cater to centrist Democrats. And the last one, and this is the big one, is they are trying to figure out a way to appease the not the Problem Solvers Caucus, but appease the progressives in the House and Bernie Sanders in the Senate. And the issue here is if just one senator, and that could be Bernie Sanders, decides he does not support the bill for whatever reason, he decides to withdraw his support. The problem is that bill will not pass through the Senate. And Bernie Sanders is one of those guys that if he feels that what he wants is going to help out the American people, he is going to stand his ground and get exactly that. So, this is where some are saying that right now Republicans are going to continue to fight, and they do have some power in this fight. We know President Biden wants to see some bipartisanship in this next bill. However, we know Democrats are already saying that no, there's no way this bill is going to pass with any Republican on board because, number one, if Republicans support it, it means it is going to be a little bit cheaper. It's not going to be $2.25 trillion. It would probably be closer to 1 to 1.5, and that is not enough. We know progressives want to see closer to $5 to $10 trillion in spending, and they say 2.25 trillion is nothing. So, here's what I can tell you. The problem right now is Republicans are dead set against everything that is currently in this bill. They say it's too expensive, it's leaning too far left, and it doesn't take their side into consideration. What I can tell you right now at this point is we are going to see a lot of back and forth. We're going to see a lot of different proposals. We're going to see a lot of different people talk about what is needed and what is not needed. We are going to see many studies. We're going to see a lot of different different polls on what the American people want, because what the American people want is what Democrats currently would like to pass, because they say if it's a popular bill and they can get the American people behind it, it makes it that much easier for the American people to vote Democrat in the upcoming election in 2022. Yes, we're still a little ways away. However, what I can tell you is Democrats are looking at this midterm election as this is going to be a make or break moment. If they lose the House and the Senate, or even just one of those two, it's going to be very difficult to get any bill passed. And what we know right now is if Democrats lose the Senate, the Senate's the main thing. If they lose the Senate in the upcoming midterm election, Mitch McConnell will be back as the Senate Majority Leader, and Chuck Schumer will have very little power. He will not be able to bring a bill to the floor, and every single bill that the House would pass would sit on Mitch McConnell's desk to die. So that's what we know. That right now Democrats are looking at, okay, we want to provide for the American people. We want to cater to the more moderates, the progressives, far lefts, whatever. But the issue is, if we do not cater to the American people and pass a bill that is popular to the voters, then Democrats could be just in complete disarray come the midterm election. So I promise I'll keep you updated on everything that we're currently hearing. That is what we know right now, which is big news. That is big news that President Biden is currently looking into doing an executive order for up to $50,000 in student debt relief, because right now it's almost impossible to get this bill passed, or this piece of legislation passed in the package. And on top of that, it most likely wouldn't even be passed until this summer. And at that point, and even right now, some experts say that there's a good chance it doesn't even get passed in the summer, because all sides are just so far apart. There's more than just one side. There's more than two sides. There's more than three sides. So we will see what happens. But as always, I promise I'll keep you updated on everything that we're hearing. All you got to do, first off, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. It actually does help out the channel. Click that subscribe button so I can keep you updated on everything that we are hearing. And I'll see you guys on the next one.